A Mile High Surprise, A Mile High Romance, Book 5, written by Cassidy Cole, narrated by Julia Emlen. Sarah crossed and uncrossed her legs and then shifted in the chair, trying to tug her skirt down to an acceptable length as she watched Mr. Horowitz read the report she'd slaved over for the entire weekend. She'd needed every minute, too, because there were about 10 major mistakes in the report that she hadn't even noticed the first time she prepared it. She'd mixed up last year's numbers with next year's projections. Who did that? He'd been right to put her on performance review and demand she go over it again. Well, she'd fixed her mistakes now, and she'd be damned if she was ever going to do something like that again. Her career mattered too much to her for her to let a man, even the picture-perfect Tyler Corrigan, distract her. She was going on a man hiatus starting today. 3 months of no men, no sex, no nada. She just wouldn't tell Hannah. That girl wouldn't understand going 3 days without sex or a man. Mr. Horowitz pushed his Santa Claus glasses up his nose and hummed to himself softly as he set the report down on the table. So, she chewed her thumbnail as she waited for his reaction. He nodded. Much better. Sarah sat up straighter, a smile splitting her face in two. He raised a hand. But, you're still under performance review. Just because you fixed your mistake doesn't mean I've forgotten that you made it in the first place. Sarah sighed. I understand, sir. I promise it won't happen again. Good. He grabbed some papers on his desk, clearly dismissing her. And, sir? Yes? Mr. Horowitz eyed her over the rim of his glasses. That other matter? The reason I was so distracted lately? He frowned. Yes? His tone was wary, probably thinking she was going to chastise him for having an opinion about her dating the head of the company. It's over, sir. It won't be a distraction anymore. His eyebrows rose in surprise, but all he said was, Good. As she started to leave, he called her back. Sarah? Yes? I know it's probably hard, but I think you made the right decision there. Business and pleasure never mix well. She nodded, but couldn't answer past the tightness in her throat. As she walked back down the hallway to her cubicle, she thought once more of what it had been like to make that decision. She'd been ready to fly to Frankfurt to spend another weekend with Tyler when Horowitz called her into his office and showed her the flawed report and put her on performance review. He gave her the weekend to fix it, which meant another 3 weeks before she'd be able to see Tyler. She'd called to break the bad news to Tyler, and that's when they'd both realized they couldn't make it work. Tyler traveled too much, and Sarah wasn't willing to screw over her career and neglect her family to be with him. She could have gone to Frankfurt, had a wonderful weekend, and dealt with the fallout later. Tyler would have stepped in on her behalf. He did own the company, after all. Or she could have just quit and traveled with him like he wanted. But that wasn't who she was. She wasn't the girl who relied on some man to solve her problems, and she wasn't about to jeopardize her career for anyone, not even the most gorgeous man she'd ever met, who stole her breath and made her skin tingle with just a glance. Plus, her family meant too much to her to just throw aside for a man, any man. So she'd stayed and worked all weekend, except for the break she took to attend her niece's birthday party, and she'd lost Tyler as a result. She'd thought he'd call, but he hadn't, and he never would again. She'd lost the only man she'd ever loved. What was she thinking? She'd found a billionaire who wanted to love and support her, to give her anything she wanted, and she'd walked away from him. She'd turned her back on being Cinderella. And for what? Life in a 6x6 cubicle preparing earnings reports? And her family? Her family was what had really tipped the scales. How could she jet off into the sunset with Tyler and just act as if they didn't exist? She'd known it was the right decision as she sat in her mother's living room with all her siblings and watched her 5-year-old niece, Katie, open her presents, squealing in delight at each and every one.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?